and whatever I see is smiling at me. Love is who I am.
So hello there everyone, and welcome to this video with me today, where we will be further moving into the discussion and topic of the sacred feminine principle of life and life-giving and how it reflects itself through our guidance. So with the last video, I felt something wasn't yet complete, and I went on a run today. And of course, as always, there's a great element of synthesis whenever I'm running, and I receive everything like this huge pile of information and download. So with all this incoming energy, and with the eclipse gateway now kind of like completing itself and planets moving in direct motion again, so we have Mercury already, and now it's going to be Mars this week, this upcoming week on the 27th, and then in September Saturn, I think, as well. So I was seeing how many people nowadays with this energy movement, they will move forward with the energy. Either way, whatever's happening in their life, they will be moving forward. What this means is that wherever we are in our soul development and evolution and understanding, we're going to move forward in some way, which is, for me, how it feels like the spirit popping of the balloon. It feels like a water balloon that hangs like above our head. It just suddenly pops open and everything just starts to pour through. And I recently, during my run, I saw this huge pile of feathers, which is almost like not one feather you find, but like a whole explosion of feathers when something happens with the bird or something. And Spirit tells me this is like an explosion of knowing, of guidance just coming through, and I recently experienced this myself. So I wanted to give you a little bit information how to further integrate this, because you're all going to be probably experiencing this in your own way. Like I said, we each receive on our own level of soul development and intensity, but either way, we're going through the same notions. We're going through this experience in unity and oneness in parallel. So when you're going to be in this integration mode, which is now going to occur, as with this forward momentum and movement, we're each going to experience, like, you know, a new way what comes through. And it's important to know, because we have been integrating the feminine principle, that we receive also through the feminine principle. So I wanted to talk a little bit about intuition, in terms of finding a difference in understanding intuition as our inner tuition, as an inner guidance system, and then understanding this not just through our own vertical expression, but then also understanding it as a higher component of life that is multidimensional. Because, as you know, people who cannot move beyond their perception, they're stuck in this one idea, one perception. They can't move past beyond that. They're somehow stuck in a linear framework, and they can only open up to a certain amount of information and the way information comes through. So they're not yet receiving multidimensionally, or, you know, creating dimensionally. As you know, I've shared with you before, I will create a new mastery course, which will be a master class in embodying Elohim consciousness and, you know, becoming divine human co-creator gods, which means creating not just like instant manifestation with, you know, something you require temporarily in this moment, but this is a lasting manifestation through the divine principles of life, and then becoming the embodiment, building our roots. This was all about building the foundation, our first house, our body, the embodiment of the sacred feminine principle of life, so that we can actually start birthing things through that. Okay, so this was our current integration process. In this way, a lot of how we used to receive guidance, perhaps, or what we thought this is it, or this is my guidance, is going to be, in a way, dissolving to make space for something new. So this is almost like the way to receive also, not just to create this as a structure, but to learn to receive this way through the feminine principle of life, understand its guidance, the way it guides us through life, and this higher orchestration of life and divinity. It's going to take some time to create the space for the majority of the people, because they're so used to receive guidance in a certain way. If you're still a beginner, I advise you to start with my learning to commune with spirit as my first mastery class. This is where you can begin to just the starting point of this whole journey, as I've been walking through all these courses and developing, which, you know, the last one was Cosmic Union and Ascension, when you come full circle. This course now is how to create with this energy, how to create with this divine alchemy that occurred within you metaphysically, okay, and now how to create within life, so that you're building these lasting creations built on divine principles. And following yourself and seeing everything in your life as a mirror, using every situation as an extension of your own creation. Most people are not ready yet to take such power. It comes a reflection through the mundane things, through everyday life things and situations, which most of people still say, well, this is happening to me. We have to embrace that everything is our creation, even if it's something that we perceive as negative. But this is the way the feminine principle of life guides, is through complete orchestration of life and all as a chalice of life, which is the divine chalice birthed through us. Is every single thing in life is a part of the creatrix. So first, embracing that all life is that, and knowing that what's that difference, like that first difference, right? And how do we know a guidance is spirit born? It's a little different than what we call our inner intuition or our inner tuition, because intuition is the integration system built within the human self, and then there's our spirit self, and then there's the merging process, and this is where intuition takes place. But we all say, oh, I'm being guided, right? I'm being guided, well, or divinely guided. There's many ways of guidance. We also know mental guidance, and we have for the past few years especially say, well, this is bad, this is false. The mind plays a false game and it plays tricks on us. Not necessarily. When you develop your mind to a higher mind, your mind also is an important component, because what I notice in most cases with people, also when I work in sessions and when I see in general collective, when people respond to certain, especially themes in the spirituality field or the new age, a lot of it is reflected also in this twin flame community. People always so focus their experience by, only by their experience of things. So they say, well, this is my experience, period. The experience is important. It is the key for your integration. But if you're only going to grasp your growth and base it only on the experience factor without developing further, concepts of life, which are shown to us the more we develop at higher aspects of who we truly are. From the individual self, who is the personality, to greater soul vistas, and then to more and more the spirit side of life. And spirit is all life intertwined, so that there's no more separation between me and the tree, me and this animal, me and this facet of life, just speaking not just to me, but through me as me. And this is what most people do not yet embody, because there's always an element of the veil and separation there. And that's why I wanted to make this video, to help you with recognizing, to receive the guidance and everything in life through the feminine principle. This will be a huge part of the course, and I'm just only giving you the brief facts here, because it's going to go so much deeper in the course. This is what I'm going to teach, because this is my level of mastery, what I came to share and show on this planet through direct demonstration of life. But like I said, we always say, I'm being guided. There's many aspects of us that we can say they're guidance. A lot of the guidance is mental. Let's say someone says, oh, that's my twin flame, that's my guidance, I know this 100%. So this person, I've often given you this example. Now this person I must come into union with. So they start to build their life all around that, and they have anticipation plus expectation that actually eliminates the factor of spirit, mysticism, life. Life is Holy Spirit, to work as that which is for their highest development, evolution, and growth, as that mystical path of true union. So we're often blocking that, because let's say we say, this is my experience, period. There is no other thing. We're limiting our flow of life, because we're not seeing what spirit else is wanting to communicate with us, show what is for our highest good, show the steps towards it, because we're so fixed on that we can't see a larger vista. Let's say I have this room and I have an item and I have many options where to place this item, but I'm coming into the room like this, focused on one spot. I can't see a larger vista. I can't explore. There is no room for dimensionality here and different utilization of how I can work with my creative power. And this will be a focus of the course in a large degree towards, building up that creation power within and truly embracing the I am Elohim principle of life. So, because we are all descendants of that, I want to share with you that it's important that through building our roots and embracing our roots, we birth that. We birth our true home. This is our lasting foundation. So when an element of the metaphysical experience, which comes through the mysticism of life, allowing that Holy Spirit, the mysticism of life to teach us, we're not being humble. We're saying, no, that was my experience, and period. I don't accept anything else. The experience, like I said, is an important factor. Your guidance tells you, this is my person, okay? This is it. Yes, the guidance tells you that this is your person in the now, although there are higher metaphysical concepts that perhaps your soul has not yet stepped into at this time. For the most people, it's like this, because they don't have a higher understanding of how life is built in creation and the different elements of what you can step through the multidimensional fusion, you're sticking with one thing and you're limiting your growth. And this is not what I would say divine guidance through the feminine principle of life. It is a particular guidance of what you feel is your calling in the moment and what you feel is your truth in the moment, not necessarily your highest outcome and where your soul wants to move you through embracing spirit as the highest teacher, or life itself is that spirit. When I say spirit, it's not like a certain spirit being. One other example I have for you is there's many people who say, I channel this being or this entity. I've noticed this in some cases. What happens is, let's say this entity has a fusion with their energetics. It wants to fuse with them in order to co-create something with them. Perhaps they have a special tendency, or that's their guide, or they have a soul contract and agreement to bring something forth through this guidance. Okay, so I've noticed, let's say this being wants to, with them, co-create a book or a certain channeling that would help people. But then that being also leaves because there needs to be room for our sovereignty, that we build our own foundation because we are the one who's ascending here. And I've noticed an attachment formulating around these beings who say, well, I channel, I don't know, Saint Germain. This is it. And everything they say in their life is Saint Germain. Let's say even if they go through the bathroom, it's like Saint Germain guided me towards this. And it becomes so obsessive that there's no room left for multidimensionality, for all the beings, for all life. This is pure Holy Spirit. This is the divine feminine principle of life. And a lot of this, which is based on one thing, one principle, one being, one channeling, one way of how I do things. This is still rigid. This is still not embracing the facets of life, which are so vast. It's galactic, it's multiversal. And before we truly understand that, we can be in our power as co-creators with all life. We're creating at a certain juncture point, we're creating at a certain bandwidth, but it's still limited. And we might say, well, this is it for me because my experience was that. But please at least allow higher concepts to come through by saying, I don't know. I feel that it is my experience in the moment, but I also embrace a part of me not knowing. And this not knowing is an embracing of life, the mysticism, the void of the sacred feminine principle of life, which is life-giving. When you control, when you have control in your field, you will never be given these larger concepts because it means you're saying, I'm not ready. I'm holding on to this. And a lot of times it's unrecognized. We might see it and pinpoint it on others, but we're not always going to notice it on our own, within our own selves. So the difference, the basic difference, and I would say in our own intuition is that knowing in each moment what's best for us. We know there's an inner voice. Our body accepts something within a larger vista, or let's say a higher self fusion with the self in this body, and it knows. And people call it the gut instinct, people call it just this inner knowing, which is not conceptualizing. It's beyond the analytical structure, the logical mind. And it is the inner tuition. It has a right term. But spirit guidance in itself is so different, and I would call it like this feeling of knowing beyond knowing. It's, when you're asking your intuition, you're still asking questions, and the guidance is based on receiving answers. When it's pure spirit guidance, it doesn't even give you answers. It's just pure knowing without... It's like that asking for or praying for is replaced with pure knowing. And when I have this state, when I receive it, I'm in awe. It's like anything I would ask is given to me in that moment. And I'm not even asking, it's just coming. It's coming. It's like knowing of everything at the same time, simultaneously. And everything I was asking, let's say before, the intuition was building towards that. It's just revealed. And as much as we need to know, and as much as we have expanded into in that framework, let's say a dimensionality is a certain structure and framework, it's still limited in itself. Each dimension still has limitations when it's perceived as only this dimensional space, only this space of creation. We're exploring it for a while, and let's see dimensions as different rooms where we can operate in and learn about ourselves and how we create. But then we also have to expand, and this is what our star teachers are always saying. Take this book, or take what we've shared with you, or take this channeling, but then even see this has its own scope of limitations that were given to you as you're developing in a certain theme, in a certain way, but then you can always also outgrow it and move beyond that. So people who become attached to what they channel, what they do, who's their twin flame, what they're supposed to do in life, they control things still. There's still an element of subliminal, sometimes, like subtle control there. Sometimes it's just you're subliminally sending yourself messages and you don't expand for other options. You say, this is it. And even if you say, well, I'm surrendered, but there's still an element that has a grasp on there, and it perceived that as your only reality, and keeps sending life force there and fuels only that, instead of fueling dimensionally into all perspectives and options, and allowing the highest one to come to you through that balloon popping experience when it all just opens up and the gates are flooded open. And recently I had such an initiation of really truly embracing myself and the spirit that I am as the nature Elohim spirit and a part of this family. And that's the gift of the teachings I can offer, because truly they're not even teachings, they're just the knowing of life, the understanding of how life truly is when you release those outdated concepts and everything others are saying. You think that's a part of your reality, trying to apply to your reality. Sorry, sometimes I talk fast, you know. I gotta apologize, but it's my spirit is fast and I'm trying to grasp on it. Sometimes it's coming real fast, so I do apologize, because recently I got a telepathic message before I woke up from a being who didn't send it to me physically, but they were telling me please talk slower, and I'm really sorry. Sometimes I talk fast, but it's kind of hard to control the way energy comes through me. So you can use there's filters and programs you can slow down, you know, like watching in certain video modes, you can use a filter to watch with the slow down speed. But either way, this is the next step. The feminine principle of life guides through complete receptivity, through the mysticism. I've shared this with you all this time, building up towards this. Now we're integrating this, how to allow this popping of the balloon to happen, because it won't happen until we release all these concepts. And further guidance, how to move into that and become your full creator being. Like, not just create, manifest for yourself in your individual reality. Learn to be a dimensional creator. Learn to observe life and be one with life on all levels, without any dogma or perception that keeps you stuck only in one reality, in one way of creating, in one paradigm of creating. But let's say, wow, all these aspects of me also allows other beings to come through. So all the things that I'm creating, they're not just my creation, they're co-creation with my light family, because there's just one tiny human can't do as much as you can do on this group soul level. But that means first you have to be ready for that level of embodiment. It doesn't come other way. So more will be shared. This was just a little tiptoe dip in the water into the vast pool of this knowing. And it's just really vast. So my message is just try to feel the difference. What's the inner intuition guiding you in the moment, and what's this higher spirit guidance, which also will call for you to develop a higher metaphysical understanding and concepts, and also learn to navigate between this simplicity of life, which is you in the now. This is how your roots are formulated. But see the difference also in allowing the higher to always be your guide as well. Not just what you feel your intuition tells you in the moment, but let that be your anchor point without being the only anchor point, like being anchored in it, but at the same time surrender to this higher prospect of life. This is how the feminine principle of life guides. And when you know that guidance coming through, you will simply be in awe. I hope this assisted you in some way, helped to build your foundation. I will share more about the course once it is out. There's so much to do. I got to get to work, by the way. I got to go to work. My battery is dying also. So this is going to be a little shorter. That's why I was doing it a fast-paced way, because I forgot to charge my device. So I hope this makes it in time. I'll talk to you soon. So much love, wisdom, and power, the creator gods that you are, and all the potential you hold. Mwah. So much love. I'll see you.